There we go. You're live.
We're live. All right. Ken, are we on? Are we almost ready?
Turn my phone off.
Okay.
Everybody turn their phone off.
Welcome, Wade. Welcome. How are you? All right. Okay, Saturday morning. All of us are nice and refreshing, energetic, right? You don't have to deal with the rush hour like you can in weeknight. So, is that nice?
Yes.
Got your cup of coffee, got your nice breakfast and all that, all right? That's good, that's good. Thank you for coming. So for future purposes, because so many of the people or my investors tell, see, you need to do it on a Saturday morning, So here we are. So moving forward, most of our monthly events will be Saturdays. So thank you for coming, and a lot of familiar faces here, and 3 or 4 of you already purchased from my network in the past. And you know who you are, and the rest of you are pretty serious, right? I mean, almost ready, but need some a little bit encouraging, motivation, inspiration, what have you. So that's understandable. And anyway, so we have a good agenda this morning, and the first agenda will be Ken Renner, of course. He will talk about Austin, Texas, for the next 1 hour approximately. And Ken couldn't be here throughout the day. Even after 1 p.m., he's going to be here to speak with some of his clients. So, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here all day.
He's been here for like the last 3-4 days. He loves the Bay Area. Who does not? I mean, there's just so much to do, and he can help you.
Got here as quick as I could.
Yeah. So Ken's going to be back on a consistent basis. So I'm happy for that because he got some great product. Silicon Valley of the South, right, and all that great stuff. You don't think about it, right? I mean, I came to the Bay Area in 1989, and I bought my first house like for $186,000. I mean, $186,000 you can buy a single-family home in Austin, brand new, right now. I'm thinking, so I could say like Austin is like 30 years where here in San Jose, in Bay Area was. Think about that, right? So if you have a long-term perspective, you pull the trigger. I know I'm doing his presentation. If you pull the trigger now, imagine 20, 30 years later, all right? Austin could be what Bay Area was back then, right? So I mean, it's amazing. So you just can have a long-term vision. You're not only buying for right now, you're buying for your future, the future of your kids, generational wealth transfer, those kind of things, right? So immediate gratification is good. We all want high cash flow, right? But if you have some moderate cash flow with some decent appreciation in a great market, I mean, Austin could be one of the areas you should pull the trigger, right? So that's in summary. This event will be recorded, right? So therefore, soon, I don't know when, in a few weeks, I'm gonna have the YouTube video available for everyone, including my database and whoever. It'll be broadcast out there. Also, my Thursday night event this past Thursday also was recorded, so we can have some nice YouTube videos moving forward. So, okay. So, anything else that I missed?
Yeah, Richard.
Oh yeah, of course. Richard, is he here? Richard Smith.
He just got that.
Oh, he just stepped out. Some of you experienced Richard Smith's tremendous tax presentation. I hope he can present approximately. Right now it's what time? 10, 15. All right, 11:30. 11:30 to 1. Something like that, right? He got a. If you are on a newsletter, if you click on the newsletter invitation that you saw on the email, you see the agenda for his topics. He lists like 30 items he could speak, right? On the tax planning strategies of 2019 and beyond. So, tremendous guy, Richard. Yeah, it's amazing. He presented here a few months ago in jam-packed house. We're gonna expect like 50, maybe 60 people, jam-packed, some standing room only. Anyway, so that's good. So Richard Smith, yeah. So that's pretty much it. Or you almost ready, Ken Renner. So Ken Renner been with me for the past 10 years, something like that. I don't know.
Over
10. Over 10.
15.
Yeah. Even 15. Yeah. He's been around forever. I mean, I met him.
You were at the old folks.
I'm still a. I met Ken like 2004. He gave a seminar, his own live event, somewhere in San Jose. Big live event. I met him 2004, 2005 even, right?
Yeah. 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You chased me down.
Yeah, I did.
Because I wasn't returning your calls. It was like, because you were like, I've heard this before, and he's like, and then he was legit. And I'm like, oh, okay, so we got a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I chase a lot of people down. You know, that's me. You know, I'm very persistent. I don't give up. So, anyway, so right. So, any other questions? So hold your questions toward the end, right? Unless you have a pressing
Actually,
question.
I love interaction. So if you have
Okay.
questions, raise your hand. We'll take them. This is
All right.
really boring if I sit here and talk for an hour. So I love.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's great. Interaction is great. So with okay. By the way, he got some new stuff. Okay. I know he was here last month. Last month, he has some new stuff. It'll blow you away. Blow you away. He has so much connection in Central Texas. So much. He had connection with builders, and builders will accommodate their product specific to what he wants. Can know what investors want. You guys want cash flow. You guys want a great deal in a great area, good rental market, everything else. He has such a niche. He has great connection with all the new builders in Central Texas. It's just mind-boggling, including opportunity zones. He's not going to talk too much about opportunity zones, just a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's amazing. Anyway, without further ado, Mr. Ken
Right.
Renner.
Wade, thank you so much for taking action. Wade bought a property from me, last month or about 2 months ago? About 2 months ago, and it's already gone up, what, 8,000? And it's not even framed up yet. Yeah, it's gone up 8,000 and $9,000. And so that's kind of the neat thing about buying real estate, that while it's being built, you get the benefit of all the appreciation. So the thing about it is that she took action. And so did Nola's, your sister, took action. And it's about where you place your trust. And then yesterday, met with some folks, and they gave me a check for property I have on assignment, cash flow property, a couple $100 a month. And so talking about taking action and motivating guys to a lot of times you can sit and think and pontificate and overanalyze. Then there's other times where you just get on a plane, fly out, and take a look at what we got. Okay, so a little bit about myself. Been in the real estate industry since 1983. It's 35 years I've been in the real estate business. And I bought my first house when I was 19 years old, and in Anchorage, Alaska. I paid $72,000 for it, and that was just before the great crash of the oil in the mid-'80s, right? And so I sold that house, and long story short, sold it for about $25,000 more than I paid for it about 6 months after I purchased it. And I was scared to death because everybody was leaving the state of Alaska. And scared to death. I was like, I'm going to be stuck with this thing for 30 years. I mean, 49 years old before this is paid off. A military vet came and paid way more, paid cash. Says, I want to live next to my buddy, and you've got the only house. My war buddy, when you got the only house, I'm going to pay you $103,000 for that house. I said, you got it. So I said, this is probably a pretty good business to get into. So, I didn't, starting my career, you may not know this, but I have a PhD. That's a public high school degree. So that's as far as I got. So what happens when you have a public high school degree? What do you go into? Sales. If you don't have a career path. And so my dad was a real estate attorney and a real estate investor, and so he taught me a lot about the real estate cycles in the market. We're going to talk about that today. So this is beautiful Austin, Texas, the 10th largest city in the nation. When I moved there in 1993, it was the 17th largest city in the nation. So that tells you what's going on. And Richard knows about Austin. It's a beautiful place. It always has been. It's full of water and life. And actually, when you drive east from here, once you get over the Sierras, it's pretty much desert for about 3 states. right? And you drive and drive and drive, we were just talking about that, David, you're driving across all this ton, and as soon as you get to about some central Texas, it starts turning to be beautiful and green again. And that's what got me started in looking at where could I move to an area where I could actually grow with, I could actually become a big fish in a small pond rather than being a small fish in a big pond like around here. So that's my journey. This is my family here. That's my son who goes to Texas State University, and my beautiful wife of 26.5 years. And that's Julia, she's actually 9 now, and this is my rock star daughter who's just released her 3rd album. She's 20. And that's actually this is our backyard over here. That's how green and lush it is. You know, when I first started looking at Texas, I'm thinking oil derricks and tumbleweeds, and cowboy hats. You come to Austin, you're not going to find any of that. No cowboy hats. There's more cowboy hats here in the Bay Area than there is there. And so 35 years, just a little bit, we'll talk about me, and then we'll talk about you for the rest of it. 35 years, 25 years in Austin. I moved there in 1993. I've closed nearly $500 million with a B in transactions, all from mostly from presentations like this. And repeat, referral. I've been doing this long enough where now I'm selling homes to the children of people who bought homes from me in the 90s. Second generation. Very considered one of the top investment brokers in Texas, been on the top of the Austin Business Journal list several times. Best-selling author, and I've spoken internationally about real estate, goal setting, video marketing. Been on House Hunters 3 times, and that's been a lot of fun. Talk just a little bit about that. And the Hope Cause is something I've started, is housing opportunities possible for everyone. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here, is kind of like on a mission that, I see even the World Health Organization calls this area having a humanitarian crisis because of housing. You actually have, we were talking to John, which you like your nice RV, you can go anywhere you want, but there's like streets of people living in their RVs, and I didn't believe it, but I did take a picture on the way over here. I'm like, there it is, and it's kind of sad because you can buy a house in Austin, Texas for way cheaper than one fifth of what it would cost to buy a house here. So they give people an opportunity not just to buy investment properties, which is why I'm here, but also if you ever think about moving to one of the nicest cities in the nation, I would love to talk with you about the relocation. Richard can help you strategize that tax-wise to maximize the equity that you have and minimize the amount that you're going to pay to the government. That's what it's all about, right? We don't want to pay anything but our fair share. We don't want to pay our unfair share to the government. Richard Falls can help you with those. So there's this House Hunters. These actually were a couple of doctors that moved from Lake Tahoe, California. And I sold them a house in Lake Travis, Texas, which is just outside of Austin, about 14 miles. And so, fun thing about House Hunters was it's not reality TV. It's all fake. They already bought the house. Violating the contract confidentially that I said with Pinetown Productions. So they already bought the house. So when you see HGTV's House Hunters, they've already picked a house. So what we do is we recreate the trip. We find a couple other houses that were similar, and then the producers come out, and they fly a producer, a sound man, and a videographer. That's it. That's why it's so economic for the producers, because they only have 3 crew members, and that's it. We videotaped 5 days straight, 12 hours a day for the first part of it, and then they come back and do like when you're in the house kind of thing, they come back and do another day. So that's 6 full days, 12 hours for 22 minutes of film.
Wow.
Pretty amazing, and you do everything twice. Everything's done twice. Sound is a big deal. They pull the plug in the refrigerator in the houses that they're, because the little bit of that buzz. There's a plane flying over, it stops until the plane comes up. Anyways, a little bit of fun behind the scenes of non-reality TV. This is my team. So it's not just me. You've got all this, and this is my patriarch. This is my rich dad. He's 81 years old, still kicking it out there, still working on his rentals, still showing properties and doing walkthroughs for me. He's a multi-millionaire, but you never know it. And my beautiful wife and my other team members and my agents and so what have you. Okay, so this is Austin, Texas, about 2004. So what was that, about 19 years ago, 15 years ago? about 2004. I took this from the Hyatt Regency, the very top of the Hyatt Regency. If you want to get a great picture of the city, that's where you go, is the Hyatt Regency, take this picture. That's what it looks like now. Actually, there's several more buildings. There's 8.1 million square feet of commercial space being built in the Austin downtown area alone. And but when you pan to the left, this is all new. I mean, look to the left. Google is building a 33-story tower right here. It's going to be a big sale. It's going to be a shake. You'll know Google when they get here. So it's already under construction.
So this is the downtown, sorry?
This is just downtown. 10 miles north of here is what's called the Domain. Has anybody heard about the Domain? The Domain is the new downtown, the second downtown they call it. And that's the home to Facebook, took a full 13-story tower, Indeed, Amazon, and HomeAway headquarters. Yes, sir.
Did you say north?
Yes,
North
10
is like
miles
Round-
north of
Round
here,
Rock in that area?
between here and Round Rock.
Okay.
Between downtown and Round Rock. So yeah, about 10 miles north is the Domain, and that's a huge mixed-use development, and that's where those major companies. Just a few miles north of that is the Apple facility, a $1.2 billion Apple facility that's going in. It's already under construction. Apple doesn't fool around when it comes to building buildings. They're going to get this thing done in 2 years, and they'll have 6,000 additional employees in Apple. So they have 6,000 now, they're going to have 6,000 additional, and they're going to go as much as to 16,000 over this next several years. They'll be the largest private employer in Austin, Texas, by far. Right now, Dell Inc. is the largest private employer besides the grocery store. So, lots of exciting things going on in Austin. It comes with its share of problems, like you have in San Mateo and in San Jose. I took this the same day I took those other pictures, getting out of town, right into downtown Austin. So traffic is a problem. We have our growth pains, you know. So it's part of what we have to live with, and they just keep building, you know. So it's the capital of Texas, yeah. And so this was built just after the Capitol in like the 1800s, in Washington D.C. They made it 4 foot taller than the one in Washington D.C. Just to let you know. Obviously a high-tech hub of the South. It's like driving up and down here and looking at all the signs, you know, Oracle and Samsung and PayPal, eBay and all this. It's just like you drive through Austin, it's the same thing. You see the same high-tech. Toll roads. This gets us around Austin a lot easier. This is 85-mile-an-hour speed limit. That means everybody goes 95, right?
Yeah.
This is the lifestyle. We could flip through some lifestyle. You didn't come here for a lifestyle. You know, Austin's this green, beautiful place. It's Terra Vista Golf Course. I own a house there. It's David Ranch. I sold over 250 houses in this neighborhood alone. A lot of investors. And so here's the point. This is 4,400 homes. I sold 5% of the subdivision. How did I do that? Is D.R. Horton, the biggest builder in Austin, the largest in America, had half the subdivision because I was so responsible with my investors. When they opened up a new section, they would say, we have 80 lots available, Ken, we are only going to give 10%, that's their limit, will go to investors. I had investors like you lined up wanting this subdivision. As soon as they opened a phase, I would go pick out the very best lots, corners and green belts and all this, and we would build homes for people like you. So every time a new phase opened up, we already had the first 10% sold. That's happening now too. So, but this is already sold out. Beautiful golf course, just 5 minutes from my house. That's what we do in the afternoons. This is our Lake Travis. This is our beach. 85-degree water in the summertime, crystal clear, not crowded. Well, it's a little more crowded now than it was, but beautiful. It's 14 miles from downtown Austin. That's 75 miles long, 260 miles of shoreline. And it's the live music capital of the world. And that's my daughter, who's very talented. She's been on the radio, she's got Spotify, she's very excited. We just had her album release, so everybody's a musician in Austin, so am I. I'll be playing next Saturday at an outdoor festival. Okay, don't take my word for it. 3rd year in a row. U.S. News and World Report, if you trust those guys. 3rd year in a row. Not the nicest, the best place in the U.S. to live. What Richard was talking about. If I picked a city, this city. That's why I moved there in 1993. I came out and goes, what's wrong with this picture? And I said, nothing. It allowed me to grow with the city. So since I've been there so long, I know every street, I know every builder, I became what's called a good old boy. It took me a long time, because I took my California work ethic out there and said, I'm just gonna work really hard, and I'm gonna really, and I did very well when I first started, because I owned a mortgage company at the time. But I didn't realize there's a thing called a good old boy. And the good old boy, those doors open for the good old boys after you've proven yourself, year in, year out, decade after decade. Now I can pick up the phone and call vice presidents and presidents of building companies, and they'll take my call. So, not to discount San Jose, they made 14. You know, it's 14, that's not too bad. But you see it's the same size, it was 2 million. We've just surpassed you guys, sorry. There's 200 people a day moving to Austin. A day. That's 3,000 new cars on the road every month, right? Look at the difference though. Median price 292, median price San Jose 1,080,000. Of course that's gone up to 1.4 since this was done, right? And this is the picture I took on the way over here. I mean, nothing against RVs, but it kind of breaks my heart to think that you're a school teacher, you're a cop, you're a fireman. So it's one of the reasons why I'm here, is not to chase people out of the Bay Area to come to Austin, but that's a possibility to pick up their wheels and go, right, David? Let's go. This is, you can stare at this picture for a while. I'll send you a PowerPoint. Just go back to this picture and look at this. This is actually a house we sold. Well, I didn't sell it, but his son sold it. This is Mr. Bill's property. I don't want to give his last name out for privacy reasons. It's a house on Guilford. Sold that. He did 1031 tax deferred exchange. We'll get to that later. This is what 1.4 million gets you in Austin, Texas, on the lake. Brand new. 4,500 square foot, 5-car garage. So, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, built in the 50s with a 1-car garage. 320,000 is the median price. Up, this is a good number. Up 7%. That's about as high as you want an appreciation rate to get. Once you get past that, you get what's called an overheated market. Have you experienced overheated market? Whenever somebody says this market's crazy, I don't care if it's the stock market or the real estate market or the Bitcoin market, when they say it's crazy, it's insane what's going on, watch out. I didn't bring the article, but there was an article that said, once it hits the news that real estate prices are declining in a particular region, once it hits the newspapers, it's probably too late. You're going to see a tumbling effect. Because what happens is people go, and I've already experienced it. In summertime, when the article said that you guys, I picked it up right out on the lobby here while I was here in the summertime, it says, Bay Area has gone to neutral. So it's been going like this, and now it's gone to neutral. What happens after neutral? People will stay, if I'm a buyer and it's 1.5 now and it went to 1.4 next month, why am I going to buy until it goes to 1.3? I mean, right? I mean, so you guys have a different view of money around here. It's like funny. It's like your stocks go way up and they go way down. You're like, no big deal. You know, different view of money. 49 days on the market, down 7 days. Let's see. This is an interesting number. 2.5 months of inventory. It's been like under 3 months of inventory in the Austin, Texas region since 2013. A healthy market is 4 to 6 months. 6 months is a healthy balance. We've been in the seller's market for all that time, and people keep coming. This is a great article. So if you give me your email address, this is my email address, you'll find out most of the slides. I will send you a copy of the PowerPoint, or I'll give it to C-Wing, and he can send it out to you. Copy of this PowerPoint. So, and those are the engineers in the room. We've got lots of charts for you, so lots of graphs and stuff. So, this is a great article. So I concluded the whole entire article. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick 7 minutes of my story of why I got into real estate. First, I told you about that first house. But my dad was a real estate attorney, and my father-in-law is still with us. He's a realtor. He never really got a broker's license, but he just bought and held and became a multimillionaire by doing that, just over time. It's not buy real estate for profit. It's, let's see, don't wait to buy real estate, right? It's buy real estate and wait. That's over time. It will be wealthy. My dad's first purchase was a house in San Mateo, California. 1963. He was a captain in the military, bought a VA loan, $17,000. In fact, I think that's it right there. He paid $70K for that. A couple years later, he got transferred with his company back east, so he sold it for $25,000. Yeah, made a pretty good profit. You know, zero total. You know, 17, zero down. He thought he was doing pretty well. If he just kept this one house, this house in Zillow sold in January for $1.6 million. If he just had this one house, he would have been, I call it, an accidental millionaire. This is bringing back memories. This is where I was born. 1.6 million is not even, they haven't done nothing to it since the 60s. It's got the old refrigerator. It's an icebox. I don't know. Look at these cabinets. 1.6, guys, come on, write a check. So then we moved to Southern California. Just think about this one, Palos Verdes. That's not the low rent district, but it was very much the suburbs at the time. He bought this one, I think, for $57,000, and I spent my high school years all the way up, and that house is worth 1.3 now. My point is that if I started going back, you could do it yourself. Every house I ever lived in, whether my dad leased it or whether we owned it, I counted up what it would be worth. I think there was 12 total moves in my lifetime with my family. If you kept every single one of those, what would it be worth? It would be worth about $12 million free and clear. So just buying and holding, and that's not investing. That's just buying your residences and keeping them. So my rich dad did that. So net worth would have been over $10 million just from the homes we lived in. Could have lived off the income, or you could have sold it, or this is another big why for me. Now that I'm turning 56 this year, so I want to leave a legacy for my children. See, my dad, I had the fortunate honor to go ahead and pay for his living expenses for the last 3 years of his life because he didn't keep his real estate and he ran out of money. So I was able to help him with that, but I think he would have, if he had it done differently, he would have liked to leave a legacy being a real estate attorney for his children. Like my rich dad, which is my father-in-law, is going to us. Is going to be, our family is going to all benefit from that. So what would that change? How would that change your life? Just 10 houses or 12 houses? That's what we're here for. So my rich dad is George Walter. He's still with us, 81 years old. He just basically bought and hold. 1031, bought and hold. Mostly in California, then Texas, about in the early 90s when we moved there. What happened is I came to him and I said, Dad, I mean, it's 1989, 1990, and in Southern California, in Orange County where I was living, the affordability factor was 8%, which means 8% of the people can afford a medium price house. Does that sound familiar? 8% can afford a medium price house. I said, Dad, I see this. I work really hard for this savings. I don't want to invest it where it's going to go like this. And so he goes, well, let's go and check it out. We went to Arizona, Florida, New Mexico, and we just kind of ended up in Austin, Texas, fell in love with it, bought 3 houses the first trip I was out there. And then we started just out of sheer fun, started sharing it with our friends and our coworkers, and we ended up having plane trips of people, just like a friendly club of friends and neighbors that we just started flying out and just buying all the property. I was leaving one time on the plane, and I'm looking out, my wife's looking at me and goes, what's wrong? And I'm coming back to California, and I'm saying, I think I'm leaving home. She goes, really? And I said, yeah. So we got married and moved to Austin in 1993. And part of that whole thing was, I sold a condo in Huntington Beach for a 2-bath downstairs condo for $160,000. I bought a 2,700 square foot single-story house with 12-foot ceilings for $130,000 out here. Started a mortgage company out there and a real estate company, became one of the top agents through the 90s and through the 2000s. And I work my niches. I love educating. As you can probably tell, I'm actually a licensed educator with the state of Texas, but I love working with first-timers because they're totally underserved, right? So I made a real big niche of helping those first-time homebuyers buy their first home because nobody wanted to help them. Realtors don't want to help them. Why? Because they don't have a house to sell, too much work, realtors are lazy, it's like, but I said, that's a niche. If I can help them fix your credit, and if I can get them into a house, I'm going to make a good living, and I did. But I said, look at the same product is great for investors. I can tell you a long story short, is we walked into a subdivision back in the 90s, and I said, hey, we can buy a house for $95,000 brand new in this subdivision, first phase, this is a great place to be. She goes, what do we rent for? Back then it was $1,200. My wife's like, you buy a house for $95 and rent for $1,200. I'll take two. Yeah. That's exactly what we did. So it started, she's like, why aren't we doing it? You're helping everybody else make money, so we started buying and stacking up properties. My dad taught me this. My poor dad that got caught in the cycle, the counter cycle of phenomena. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This chart here, see when you've seen this. This chart has made me a lot of money. And it's not because it's I want to make money, I'd like to make a living, but it's because I helped a lot of people make a lot of money because they followed what was going on here. So what happens on the coast is they take 85, the blue line is California, the red line is Texas, okay? About in 85, the California market was coming kind of out of a recession and going about 84, 83, 84, right? And the interest rates were really high and they started dropping down. And aerospace started taking over. There was a lot of aerospace, especially in Southern California. And we started to see that climb of values to about 1991. That's when I asked my rich dad, do I invest here or where? I've got only enough to buy 2 or 3 houses. What should I do? Go somewhere else that's going to be a little more stable. So what happened was I didn't invest here, I invested in Texas. Texas, on the other hand, was coming out of a real estate recession because of what happened when they changed the laws, and also they overbuilt the whole commercial side of things, and it was just a big Ponzi scheme as far as real estate was concerned. So it peaked out in 85 and then just kind of leveled out. RTC took over and there was a lot of foreclosures. This is where I bought a house for $75,000 in South Austin instead of paying way inflated prices. What happened in 91 to 92 to 97 was a drop of about 30% in these hotter areas, the Bay Area, the Southern California area, a drop of about 30%. The highest foreclosure rate in this decade for California was 1997. That's when it bottomed out. And in the meantime, Dell Computers comes on the scene, and the dot-com boom happens, and this is what happened to Texas, Austin, because we're a big, tech-related industry. 2000, we know what happened to the dot-coms, the dot-bombs. It stopped, and then people moved their money out of stocks, and what did they do? Put it in California real estate. And they kept buying and buying and buying and buying and buying, and the values kept going up, and you can see it, they're like flipping. You guys, I know there's some flippers in here, and it didn't matter what you bought. I'm going to say that a couple times. It doesn't matter what you buy. At this time, it didn't matter. It just kept going. It was too easy. I'm running into you guys, some of the kids of you guys in this room are multimillionaires because they bought 2 condos 5 years ago. It's great. Love it. But what happened in 05, 06, what, almost 50 to 60% drop? What was it, 40? What was the drop? 40%, 50% from the peak? Didn't take long. It dropped. What happened in Texas, it just leveled out. And I'll show you that. I'm not using my chart. I'll show you that Texas A&M Real Estate University's chart. So in 05, we just leveled out. We bounced along. Median price pretty much stayed same for about 3 or 4 years. Then it started to increase. Of course, San Jose probably was the best time to buy. About 2010, and boom, you're 100% approved. What, over 100% approved? What was your house? What was it worth in 2010? One that you sold a few years ago that you wished you didn't sell?
40% less than today.
Yes. So
They have doubled.
the problem is, what about the affordability factor? You guys, you're still just over 6 figures, the median household income in San Jose. That doesn't afford a median price. That supports about an $800,000 loan. So you got your affordability factor can be very critical.
Are your numbers Texas or Austin?
It's this is awesome. And Texas. Well, yeah.
I
I'm focusing on
Texas
Austin.
or just Austin?
Overall, Texas would be a very similar.
It is.
Yeah, very similar trajectory. It's a flight to quality. It's a flight to safety. I was telling people, I come out and do presentations with seniors, I say, get your money out of California, get your equity, move it, 1031 it, get it out. Do your 2 out of the last 5 years, sell that primary residence, get it out. And then people didn't listen to me. And they go, this is what they said right about here. They said, this is a crazy market. Why would I buy in Texas when it went up 14% in 1 quarter? I go, that's not sustainable. it's not gonna go on forever, and we've already talked to a lot of y'all that it's gone already dropped 10% in a lot of your neighborhoods. Boom, bust. Okay, Texas just kept plodding along. So I'll give you the, let me get to a chart here. Just to prove my point, this is the median home price. You notice something very stable about this? From Texas Real Estate Center at Texas A&M University. This is when I started buying, and I wish I kept them all in Texas, but it goes up for about 7, 10 years, levels out for 3 or 4, goes up for a few, we have this mortgage crisis, and now we're up here in our median price now is 320,000. That's a very stable chart. What did change in the crisis was volume, not price, right? So the amount of homes being sold went way down, but the price, the median price, stayed very stable. Projections for the population, jobs. Anybody know as a real estate investor, follow where the jobs are. That's the key to real estate investing, wherever there's job creation, long sustainability. Same chart, same trajectory, nice and stable. Once again, since 2012, we've been in a seller's market, and it's going to continue as long as 200 people a day from California keep moving there. Average annual appreciation, nice healthy 5%, not the 20%, that's unhealthy, it's not 0 either. And it actually has gone up more like 7 or 8% per year in the last couple of years. So let's go back to Mr. Bill. Okay. So why should I invest in real estate? Well, 85% of the world's wealthy got rich through real estate. Where? Well, pick an area that's a nice place to be. I wouldn't shuffle off to Buffalo except to collect a check or two, but I'm not going to live there, that's for sure. And we'll talk about the difference between cash flow properties and their relative difference between that and maybe more stable properties. How should I invest in real estate? Pick the right team, pick the right jockey, not the horse. Pick the right jockey. And you've got a great team, Richard. You've got Seawing, got me. He's got financial advisors behind him. We have a team. And who should I trust to help me? Somebody's doing it. Don't buy people that are selling homes or real estate on theory. Everywhere that I buy or that I have my investors buy, I would buy myself, and I have bought. I would drive through the neighborhoods and go, yeah, my accountant bought that one, my Allstate guy bought that one, Way bought that one. Oh, there's my house. That's when you go on a tour, that's what you're going to see. The bundle of benefits, I'm not going to go into a lot of this because you probably heard it if you've been in enough presentations, but bottom line is income. Somebody else pays off your mortgage for you, period. Somebody else is paying off your debt. It's the tenants. Even if it's just break even, who else pays? Does anybody else pay your car payment for you? I mean, somebody else pays the payments. The depreciation, Richard's going to be talking about the depreciation. Leverage, that means I can put a smaller percentage down. And some of these properties, Way has put, how much was your earnest money? $2,500, and like I said, it's gone up $8,000. What's the kind of return on the investment? She hasn't even closed on it. I mean, just that. I mean, so she'll be putting what 20 or 25% down on the property, and if it's gone up 8, so she got 40 into it, she's already up 20-30% just by putting her chip down. Appreciation, obviously, this is where we get wealthy over time. It's I say, get rich consistently, not get rich quick. And then estate disposition, and Richard will talk about stepped up basis. This legacy, this is one of my whys, is I want to leave a legacy for my kids. My rich dad, my father-in-law, is leaving us a legacy, and I feel it's responsible to pass not just the wealth, but the knowledge. And you're going to see some father-son deals in here of where they're teaching their kids how to buy real estate. Nothing better than bring your 21-year or 22-year-old here and let them learn a different angle that you don't hear in school. You don't hear this stuff in school. It's hideous. This is, Seawing will know this. This is from Bigger Pockets. Why do people not invest? Fail to set a deadline. You're an entrepreneur. It's procrastination. Limiting beliefs. That's analysis paralysis. Limiting beliefs are really tied together. I can tell you how many people have got their spreadsheets this long while Way already wrote a check and made $8,000 in appreciation.
I do spreadsheets too.
She does spreadsheets too. Yeah. And don't have a big enough what? I don't really, you know, my passion is not to work with real estate investors that are doing it because they're in it for the money. I do it because I'm real estate because they're passionate about real estate. That's a big deal for me. And you know, if it's all about the money, you're in the wrong place. But if it's about leaving a legacy and building a net worth, and I mean, I was talking about Richard. Okay, so I'm net worth's over $1 million, but I'm not financially free, right? In other words, I've still got to make a living. And Richard talks about how to get from your buddy last night that you taught how to sell a single-family home and became financial. He doesn't have to work anymore. Doesn't know what to do with himself now. So, anyways, yeah. So this is a case study. I sold this in November of last year. Mr. Bill came to me and said, Ken, I bought a house from you many years ago in Round Rock. I had a good experience, and I've got this home that I've had for a long time. I'd like to go ahead and sell it, but how do I avoid paying the taxes on it? So he did. I sat down with him. I said, let's do a 1031 tax deferred exchange. So what's that? And Richard's going to talk all about it, but it's basically taking the equity in this and rolling it into more properties of equal or greater value. And so in this particular case, he said, I've got this house, it's got a tenant in it now, I'm getting about $3,500 a month, what can you do for me? And I said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to do a 1031 tax deferred exchange, which means once you sell it, you have 45 days to name property, 180 days to close, right? Okay, so, but he said, well, that means I'm going to scramble around for 45 days and buy whatever this adds up to, 9 properties out in Texas. I said, no. I'm going to use my influence with the builders, with D.R. Horton, biggest builder in Austin, Central Texas, and biggest builder in America. I'm going to go to their management and ask them, are they interested in selling any of their inventory that's coming up? And normally they wouldn't, but they had too many speculative homes going in the ground, and I hit them at the right time, and they said, yeah, sure, would be no problem. We'll go ahead and let you tie up $1.3 million worth of their homes under construction. We had to have them under construction. Why? Because if we wanted to make sure they closed within the 180 days, so we had to have homes that were not finished because the builder hadn't sold this yet. So the builder's not going to wait around for this to sell. Well, January comes around and I said, okay, Bill, you said you're going to send a tenant walking, and you're going to go ahead and sell the house. He goes, yeah, that's what we're going to do. The end of January comes around. He goes, Bill, how's the sale going? Well, we've ran into a few problems. I'm like, what? He was like, well, the inside's, once we got in there, the wiring needs to be redone because it's like 60s wiring. It's got the weird stuff. It's got a fire hazard. People aren't going to buy it. And I was like, okay, all right. But Bill, they're wanting you to close when these houses are done. The builder's not going to wait around. You've got 9 houses tied up. $1.4 million worth of their inventory tied up. Well, we're going to get to it. We'll get it sold. End of February comes around. Bill, is the house on the market? No. You haven't even sold the house, and you need to close on these first 2 houses. We did what's called a reverse exchange. We did cash out refinance on his Belmont house. He pulled that cash out, paid. We did a reverse exchange, which is another first one I've ever done. Richard, you've done a couple of reverse exchanges, where you actually buy the Uplick property before you even sell this one. The March comes around. Bill, what's going on? Well, it's almost finished. I go, we got 3 more houses the builder wants to. What are you going to do? So. We're in April comes around, he finally gets it, we're almost ready. I'm like, okay. I'm going on a trip to Cabo San Lucas with the D.R. Horton management of they invited our team because we were the top brokers for their company. And I'm going, they're all expenses paid, and I'm sitting here going, they don't even know that this house isn't even on the market yet. I'm like going, they never asked me. I would have not lied. I would have said, well, what's going on with the house? And fortunately, they didn't ask. I get the text when I'm in Cabo. We sold the house, five offers, cash, 1.4 million, 200,000 higher than we were asking. They made for a good trip. So now we could complete the exchange, and this is what he did. He turned that one house into all these brand new. And Richard was talking about a story about that. This is happening over and over again. His income went from $3,500 for this to $13,700 gross income. Of course, you got your expenses and everything. Mr. Bill doesn't have to work anymore. This wasn't making it for him, but this now is he's basically. So you can do that too. All right, so let's get back to it. Any questions on that? It almost took a year to get the whole thing done. Okay, so this is why I like this nice little stable, and this is my heart monitor. And when it gets this high, when it gets crazy, what happens? When it hits the news and it's peaking again, watch out. When they say, this stock market's crazy, watch out. So, my job, how we invest, and this is how I bring you into this, and it's got a great podcast, by the way, that I'll send to you, and if you're interested, email me. I have what's called an onboarding email that will have a lot of really good resources. We do the research, and we know where to throw the dart. We help you with the acquisition. Like you said, with Way, all we have to do is what? Number one, decide what we're going to buy, throw the dart, put your earnest money down. I did all the decorating for her, so she didn't have to worry about, decorating the model. Our team's done our walkthroughs for her just last week. We do our walkthroughs for her. So we handle everything. All you have to do is pick the property, get your loan, and we handle everything from there. Management, I don't own the management company, but I'm about ready to, because everybody's asked me to manage it, manage their properties. We have great managers. That's the key long term is great management. And when I give 200 accounts to somebody, they better do a good job, or we'll take that 200 accounts somewhere else. So I've kind of got leverage with these guys. And then I call this, I manage the managers. That's the whole thing. If I'm driving around the neighborhood showing properties like you, I can't have, hey, there's Bob's property. Man, the weeds are up to here. No. We're not going to have that. I'll call them up and say, hey, get a mower over here. Our properties, why D.R. Horton gave me the exclusive in these neighborhoods and other builders is because you couldn't tell our property, our rented properties, from the owner-occupied properties. Because we made sure that they looked good. That's why they gave us the rest of the opportunity. And the disposition when it's time to sell. 1031 tax deferred exchange or cash out, whatever it may be. Every house that I sell is 2 sales. In other words, I'll sell you a home, you liked what you got, and then somewhere down the line you're going to sell it. So that's why it's got to be a good property, a good area. So that's what keeps us in business. A lot of my listings right now are people bought 10, 15 years ago, and they're putting their kids through college or whatever they're doing. They want the cash out, and that's what we help with. This is a great chart. So you hear a lot about this number, and Seaweed will talk about it like that. There is a place for cash flow, and Richard was talking about that yesterday. As we get older, a very wealthy real estate investor said, equity is great, appreciation is great, but cash flow's stake on the plate. So, but you have to be careful where you're looking for cash flow properties, because if people are leaving that area, that's a bad sign. So, and they're usually following the jobs. So, high cash flow can mean high hassle. When they take the copper out of the air conditioning unit, it's going to cost you $2,000. It's going to take up a lot of your cash flow. There's a lot of more turnover usually. And then appreciation is not near. I mean, you've heard some of the properties that are in the Midwest and the appreciation. Don't expect appreciation. And then liquidity is low, especially in a bad market. You can't get rid of a bad market. So what we like to be, this is the median price in Austin, about 307. We like to be in this area. So our Austin properties are 200 to 250, and this is where you get easy liquidity. That's one of the things that's nice about single families is that you can sell it pretty easily. You're not stuck with a big giant apartment complex, which would be nice, but you're not stuck with it where you can't just sell one unit, right? You need some cash. So good liquidity. Also, cash flow isn't as good, but it's a sweet spot, we call it. The hassles are way down here, because new construction, there's nothing to do. It's like way down here, houses are low. Tenants love new construction. Appreciation is good and solid. And liquidity is good. So low hassle, so there is a purpose for this, but you have to know what you're buying. Just because it has high cash flow doesn't mean that the house that was built in the 50s is going to have a lot of capital expenditures that may be associated with it. So they don't usually figure that in their performance. So this is where we try to stick. So yeah, I just did this one, let's see, yesterday. I just put this screen up, just the good old boy I was telling you about is that over many years of working with these builders have they given me direct connection to C-level execs. Last Tuesday I met with Kyle Brulette, who's the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Lennar. They have 45 subdivisions in Austin. I'm now a standing meeting with him every quarter. January 15th is my next meeting with him, and he's gonna give me a list of properties that they're going to deeply discount for quarter end. Their year end is November 30th, we just passed that. And their quarter end is gonna be February 28th. He's gonna give me a list of these properties because they discount at quarter end, especially a year end fiscal, they'll drop it as much as 30, 40, 50,000. I actually have a flyer that I can show you. As much as 10, 12, 15% that they'll take on some of the properties that they've got. Insider knowledge and influence with the, because I've sold so many of them and they trust me. There are hedge funds coming in and trying to do this, trying to buy up these properties, but Kyle said, Ken, you've been here forever, I'd rather deal with the local guy, the good old way, right? Fiscal quarterly, year end, you gotta know, D.R. Horton's fiscal year ends September 30th. Ashton's Woods property, Milestone Properties is March 31st. You gotta know when these fiscal years, because that's when they'll really get hungry and they'll deeply discount to get their numbers up. So exclusive every quarter, and this is what I'm presenting to you. What I've got today to show you my inventory, the inventory I had a month ago is already gone. And what I'm gonna show you today, one of them's already gone. So by the time, next month when I come around, it's gonna be a new set of inventory. It just constantly changes. So, and the best deal in Central Texas, I work some markets, and we'll get into that. At 2 o'clock today, I'm gonna do a deeper dive into actually specific properties, specific neighborhoods, what Way's doing, what she's done, not her secret property that we've got that no, I can't tell you about. But this just came, and I was talking to Sea Wing 2 days ago. I was here, and I got the text from a builder, and this is what everybody wants: new duplexes. You can't find them anywhere, right? And we have, I can show you the text, but he finally said, okay, I'm breaking ground on the duplexes. I'm gonna give you first shot. We've got 23 of them. They're 350,000, and they're gonna rent for 1,500 a side. I said those numbers work. So I'm gonna give you first shot. It's almost 1%.
Say it again.
350,000 for
1,500 per side.
1,500 per side, 3,000 a month gross. So
25% down, you should have a net monthly cash flow around 600
or more.
or even
And
more.
there's no. So the bottom line is there's no. It's all brand new. Everything's under warranty. There's no repairs that we need. Because he's giving me the 23 duplexes, which is 46 units. I'm going to buy one, but I'm probably going to put an on-site manager in that area because that's enough units where you can have an on-site manager. So this is an opportunity just hit while I'm here. Haven't even done a pro forma on it. Yeah, because it came here when I was preparing for this meeting. So if you're interested in brand new duplexes that are cash flow positive, three bedroom, 2 bath, 1 story with a 2-car, I think it's 2-car garage. Yes.
Ken, where are those located?
This is located in Waco. So what happens is, well, I'll get on the map. So I'll do a deeper dive in with Google Maps and MLS and everything at 2 o'clock. But what we did is we went up the I-35 corridor. I-35 is the freeway that splits America. It goes from Mexico to all the way to Canada. And so San Antonio is on I-35, Austin, San Marcos, Austin, and then it goes up north, Round Rock, Georgetown, then Temple Belton, which is about 45 minutes north, and that's where we're seeing great cash flow properties. And then just another 30 minutes north of that is Waco. And Waco's booming. These MSAs that I'm talking about, Temple Belton, Killeen, that's about 250,000 people. Waco's about 250,000 people. The cash flows are way better. And then we have in Austin. So a lot of people come and say, I want to be in Austin Metro, and you did it for appreciation. And you already got the appreciation, that's what's happening. So want to be in Austin Metro, we've got them, but the cash flow is not going to be as good. And the price points are not going to be it's going to be much higher. It's about $40,000, $50,000 difference between the same house in Austin as it is 45 minutes north. Almost 60% of pricing less. It's 60% of Austin prices, but it's 90% of the rents. So the reason I don't put that out there very often, or I don't have Sea Wing put it out to his club members, is because I don't want people that I don't know saturating my market, right? There's only a limited amount of homes out there. Properties that Wei bought in, they've gone up so fast so far, they don't cash flow now, because what she paid to, what was your price point? Anyways, the price point, if they go up too far too fast, they get out of that sweet spot, and we gotta go find something somewhere else. All right.
What's in Waco? What
Baylor
industry?
Baylor University.
That's the only thing,
That's
right.
the biggest anchor, but yeah, Baylor's huge. But there's, Chip and Joanna Gaines made a big difference. 3 million visitors a year come to the Magnolia Silos and pay $12 for a coffee cup. It's affordable, it's a good lifestyle, there's lakes, it's right. It has a lot to do with the migration out of other higher priced areas from all over the nation. It's a migration. So.
Was it kind of like retirement area?
There's a lot of retirement, but you know, it's on the I-35 corridor, it's halfway between Dallas and Austin, so I don't usually work the Waco market, but I heard 46, it's actually, this is 23 duplexes, it's gonna be 46 duplexes. The developer's keeping half of them for himself. That says a lot to me. If the developer is keeping these properties to himself, half of them, then, and the surrounding area is $350,000 to $500,000. I'll go into this project at 2 o'clock after more of the keeper died.
Is it 2 addresses?
Yes, no, it's one address. So it's a true duplex. The other opportunities that we have are talking to Kyle and talking to Pacesetter Homes, which is another one of our builders, is they're now doing paired homes, basically duplexes is what they are. And so, and we'll talk about that in my 2 o'clock presentation, specifically where they're building. Haven't even started the properties, and they haven't even come up with pricing. But this is Lee Whitaker, who's the vice president of Pacesetter Homes. They're doing paired homes, and there should be each side under 200,000 in the Austin metro. So those are going to be good. It depends on what numbers they come up with. We also, Lennar is building properties in the economic opportunity zones. So we'll talk about that at 2 o'clock, because that's huge for anybody that has a capital asset that they need to protect and have in them for the long haul. Brand new properties in between the F1 auto racetrack and the Austin Bergstrom Airport, 12 miles to downtown Austin.
Wow, 12 miles from downtown Austin.
You can see the buildings of downtown from there.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
So 1 o'clock when the event ends, grab a quick lunch and come back at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we're gonna property specifics. There's no way I have enough time to go through all this
That's my appointment.
yeah, she's got. No, actually, yours is 3:30 now, because the other guy I met last night. So he came over. He bought all your properties.
That's not funny.
So I'm not going to bring it up because she's taking action, so I'm not going to rain on Wei's parade. Because what the bottom line is, Pacesetter is building single-family homes with ADUs, but they're very limited. In other words, they've got 2. She and her friend are going to, or her brother. That's it. So that's why I don't even want to bring it up.
ADU is?
Additional dwelling unit. So above the garage, they have a studio apartment, really nicely set up, and then they have the single-family house. So it's basically a duplex with the same address. So, yes.
Can you find in Austin, Texas, single-family home with a 1% rule?
Not anymore. When I was there.
What's the question again?
The 1% rule. Up in our submarkets, yes. And I'll actually give you an example of a submarket property that's about
0.75% of 1% is close enough to 1%, right? For example.
Well, like
It's hard. Now you can if you buy in a place where you don't want to go at night. That goes back to
of course.
yeah, that goes back to that hassle factor, you know. I'm really trying to buy quality properties that provide cash flow and recession-proof them. In other words, even if the recession hits, you can at least lower your rent so you break even. That's at least do that, because over time, you saw the chart, over time it's going to go up. So, yeah, it was a question.
Back in that chart you had before with the crazy lines? Yeah, that one. Where that great deal is there a particular percentage ROI in that area that most people get?
So in Austin, we're about 4.5, 5 cap. In our submarkets, we're almost 7. single family. It's hard to find 7 caps anywhere on anything.
Okay.
So, yeah, it depends on where it's at.
You guys know what the cap rate stands for? I'm gonna do a quick thing.
Go ahead, yeah, talk.
Cap rate, right, the benchmark around 7% capitalization rate. So that means your purchase price divided by your annual taxes, insurance, property management fee, and
Net operating income.
and operating income, not mortgages. Mortgages have nothing to do with it. So purchase price divided by your annual taxes, insurance, property management fee, and
Vacancy factor.
equal whatever. 7% or higher is the benchmark for cash flow at 25%.
So the thing about cap rate is really just a kind of a quick rule of thumb. It doesn't include capital expenditures, like I said, the copper being ripped out of the air conditioning unit to be sold on the open market, you know. So it doesn't count the capital. It's just a quick little guide that investors use to say, what's a cap rate? Oh, you have some cap rates that are 14%.
Yeah, right.
And you have some that are,
Lovely.
some people are okay with a 4.5 cap rate because they understand the long haul and they're buying for quality and appreciation,
Right.
so. All right, so this is very doable. Mr. Bill, yes?
What's the property tax for the Austin's Metro versus the markets?
Every tract is different. Unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know. So for instance, in our Georgetown market, we have, if it's in the city of Georgetown, it's a 2.29. If it's in Saddle Creek, which is where the paired homes are, it's 2.7. And those are adjacent subdivisions. 2.8. She's right. She's got her spreadsheet, 2.828. I got a great memory. Yeah. So, so it varies from tract to tract. What I do is, my job does not stop when you get the keys and you put your tenant in. My job is to continue to maximize your investment, and one of the things we do is be able to protest your property taxes, because they get really greedy. Dunya is a young lady that bought a house from us, and she missed because she didn't get the mail, the opportunity to protest her taxes. The house we sold her in Three Creeks, which is in Belton, she paid $179 for it, and it assessed at $220. That, all of a sudden, her taxes are going to go way up here. Now, she could have protested it very simply by providing a protest that they send you in the mail, you fill it out, send it back, or you can even do it online, and send in her closing statement, said, this is what I paid for it, willing buyer, willing seller, that's what it's worth. I did that every time. I teach a class, a 45-minute class, it's on YouTube, how to protest your property taxes. So I want you to maximize, don't overpay your taxes, and a lot of people miss that one. So yes, it keeps going up every year, and you just mentioned yesterday, I was looking that up, that there's a new law that passed. What is that? That's
Well, the new law which passed recently is a maximum of 3.5% per year. You know, somewhat like our Prop 13, which is 2%. They just passed it to put a cap on the school taxes. And when Ken is saying that that's the biggest variability is the school taxes, you know, from area to county. I protest my Texas taxes every year. And so you can make a lot of money. That was interesting what you said. But I talk to people in Texas and they don't know about this new law.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? And he lives there.
So I come here to listen to Richard.
Yeah. So what we found is that there's some flexibility in adopting the new law, which I don't understand. I mean, you know, Texas has such a funny legislative system. They meet, what, for 6 months every other year or something? What is it, Ken? They meet in Austin.
I can't.
I mean, they only
stand
meet
the
part-time.
Austin's, government,
You know,
because they're they stifle development, they cause, even the former mayor got on a video and was saying that we blew it 20 years ago when their zoning codes were this thick. Okay, and developer comes and say, I want to put 160 units on this property, they say, no, pare it down, resubmit, and they pare it down to 100 units on that, and they're like, well, now it doesn't make sense for the developer to build it if it's only 100 units, so they missed out the opportunity to build affordable housing.
Ken, could you find out, and maybe get it back to Sealing, as far as Austin and these places, what the new property tax?
Absolutely,
I think that's critical, because I have property taxes in Texas go up 20, 30, 40% a year, because the homes are going up 20, 30% a year.
Yeah.
And it's tough to protest it when you go to protest and he shows you the homes surrounding you, what they sold for. That's a pretty tough deal. but
Yeah, yeah,
there is
it's,
a new law, and I don't know what.
I started looking up when you mentioned it. I think it has to do with, well, anyways, bottom line is we don't have state income tax. I know that doesn't help you here, but that's also a big reason, because I was looking at, who was the other guy who spoke last night with his, the capital gain, it was 13, were you guys paying?
Mike Ryan?
Yeah, what are you paying here, 13-14% state income tax? We don't have any state income tax in Texas, so it may not help you now, but that's one of the reasons why 200 people a day are moving here, why companies are moving. 7,000 companies have moved to Austin from California in the last 6 years. 7,000 companies, small and big. So this is very doable. Now you don't have to buy all 9 like Mr. Bill did all at once, but you can start with one, like, you know, and then another one. This is what a lot of people do. They're gonna try it out, see if it's good, okay, if it works. And actually have, since we've got a great mixed culture here, a lot of them will say, our whole family wants to buy, but we're gonna send one of our friends out to buy one first and see if it works. If it works, we'll come back and buy one. So that's kind of what we do. So I got to make this one work. And what's the number one issue that I have that people say why I don't? What my biggest concern is, because on my investor questionnaire I have, what's your 3 top concerns about investing out of state? And one of them is vacancy. I don't want a vacant property. So we're attempting to solve that problem, because a normal time is about 3 weeks leasing time. We're talking about doing just buying them ourselves, putting tenants in it, and then turning it over to y'all. Also have special particular properties that I'll even make the first month's payment. So because I'm that sure that they're going to take that question out of being able to, is it going to sit vacant? Is it going to sit vacant? They don't sit vacant. There's 200 people a day moving there, so they got to have some place to live. Okay, typical, this is a house at 3 Creeks in Belton, which is about 40 minutes north of Austin. And this is our typical investment property. I own 2 houses, just the same model. And so this is a D.R. Horton house. D.R. Horton, by the way, is cut off investors in this whole area. So when I say cut off investors, is they have limitations to how many they'll sell to investors. And once the limitations have been met, you gotta wait till the next phase before they'll give you a new allotment.
Do these properties, are they in a homeowners association?
Yes, this one is. Yeah, and the HOAs range anywhere from $18 a month to $45 a month. So pretty reasonable. Nice flooring, tile in here, wood laminate here, granite countertops, high-end appliances. This house sold for $189.
How many square feet?
1,605, something like that, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. This is our typical, this is our sweet spot. Not too small, not too big, because you get too big, they get expensive to replace carpet. You get too small, then you can't get as much rent. So somewhere between 1,350 and 1,400 square foot, and about 1,900 square foot is about where we like to stay. One-stories are great, but here's what we didn't mention last night, was 2-stories are fine if they're a great model. See, what we do is we usually like to buy the model home, because that's what everybody, obviously the builder's done their research, which is the best houses to build. So this is like one of the models. So nice big master, dual vanities, tile surrounds, tile flooring, backyard. The owner added that, but that's pretty nice. There's even stone on the pillars. So that's our typical investment property. Here's a pro forma, and I've got spent all day doing performance, right? Because everybody's like, well, I didn't get to yours yet, sorry.
I think
She did. Waiting for me. Well, part of the problem is we don't know with what you're buying, we don't know what the comps will be, but we can do pretty good. We'll get it. So this house sold for $189. It was rented for $1,600 a month, and I've got all the. It was a 2.9 tax rate. That's high, but it's still cash flows. So this is an older one. I'm really putting together a very comprehensive performance because I want to show what's going to happen over years. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, as you pay the balance down, an assumption of 5% appreciation, what's going to happen to your net worth. That's coming. We're working on it right now. 25% down, 47.5. Builder pays some portion of the closing costs, so it's the Closing costs are minimal, 2,500 is what I have here for closing costs. If you're buying it just straight up from a resale, you're probably looking at about double that in closing costs. 6% cap rate, which is great for single family. You don't find that very often. If you paid cash for it, you'd have a 5.68% cash on cash return, and then cash flow about $230. You're not going to get rich on $230 a month. But if you take that and apply it towards the mortgage, what happens? How long does it take? 16 years to pay it off. So instead of 30 years, you take this little bit of money you don't really need right now, and it'll be free and clear. Richard, what's your take on where you like to keep leverage at? What's the percentage, if any?
I'm not sure. Oh, I try to get 20% down, but I've got 65 mortgages, so I put down 25%. But I believe in minimum down, maximum rate. Cash flow's gotta be whatever your criteria is.
Mm-hmm. So you have to go to a bank now to get where do you, because you over the 10 properties, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will allow you to have 10 properties, and this is probably worth the price of admission here. You can have up to 10 properties, and then you have to do alternative, not Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac typical financing. So I'm at 10 properties now, but my wife's not on any of the properties. She's on title, but she's not on the mortgages. I put her salary under my company because she's not an owner of the company. She owns it because she's married to me, but she's not an officer. Now she can get 10 loans in her name. So I can get 20 loans, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, at right now around 4.5, 4 5/8. Once you get past that, you're pretty much looking at alternative financing, banks, commercial. What kind of loans do you get now?
Well, by then, hopefully you've got the cash flow, you go to a local community bank,
Yes.
which is what I do.
Mhm.
And you can always get equity out of the properties you have. So, we could talk about that, but I just got a $1.5 million line of credit from a local bank. So,
That makes it easy.
once you get to that level, you can get money.
Okay, cool. Well, let's all get there. Let's follow Richard. Okay, so this property is Eileen's property, and that's your fiance's friend. Eileen, what came out? She came to my she didn't come in. Yes, she did. She came to my presentation in late October. She took action. Her and her friends flew out, and I had this already under contract. This 1,400 square foot. Had it already under contract on assignments. So what I do is, because these had 4 offers on it, I had to put my offer in, get it tied up, and do what's called an and/or assigns, which means I can assign it to whoever I want. Why? Because if I call up Seawing and say, hey, I've got this great property, maybe it takes 2 or 3 days for you guys to get back and it's gone. So now I have to tie them up. And the one that we just did, Fair Hills, right around the corner from here, I tied it up, and a gentleman yesterday, him and his wife, I'm assigning it to them. At the same price I paid for it. I'm not charging anymore. Here's the interior of it. So, so Eileen came out with her friends, and after she had already had it in her contract, and then during the contract period, she came out and looked at it and said, I like it. Or she'd go, no, I don't want it. And the earnest money is $500. So you give your $500 and move on. So, nice house, wood floors, tile, nice fireplace, granite countertops.
How much is this one?
I'm gonna make you guess. How much do you think this house? Oh, granite in the master bath. This is nice.
How many
It's
bedrooms?
nicer than my
How
house.
many bedroom, how many bath?
3 bedroom, 2 bath,
How big?
1,400 square feet.
What's the lot size?
Well, I'll show it to you here. Nice. That's
That's
even too big for me. I can golf on that. So, but yeah. So what do you think? What do you think she paid for that?
185.
163.
Where's it located, Ken?
This is in Temple, Texas.
Temple.
5 minutes from the largest hospital in Texas. It has 8,000 employees, and all the residents for Baylor Scott and White have to go. All the resident doctors have to go to the mothership, we call it, the Baylor Scott and White Hospital for 3 years to do their residency. All of them. There's 5,000 doctors that they all have to go through there. They don't want to buy because they don't know where they're going to end up stationed. So they'll rent from us during their residency. Have their first child usually. It's kind of the way the pattern goes.
What's the rent?
This rent is going to be, I think, $13.95. So numbers work pretty well. I think this time of year we went to $13.25 because this is more seasonal here. If you can get it in the winter, summertime, which is what we teach people, get on the summer cycle. So offer 18 months and instead of or we have some people doing it in 6 months to get them on the summer cycle. So that's our typical property, though. This is a real case study. She did well. She took action and beat out 4 other offers. So I'm really proud of her to do that. Okay, so this is my little acronym. You got to bet on the team. Trusted experts, advisors, and mentors. Someone's been down the road before us, so that's what we're looking for. I mean, I would love talking to Richard because he's already done it. He's there. And so I want to follow people that have done it. This is a really cool. This is you, multimillionaire real estate investor. You have to have your inner circle. Most realtors don't have this. Any realtor can sell you a house, and most realtors are not brokers, by the way. I'm a broker. I've been a broker for over 25 years. So this is you, and you surround yourself with mentors, possible partners, and consultants. I would probably fit within here as a consultant. I get paid by the builder or the seller. You're never going to pay me anything. So one of the things, you get a lot of these real estate gurus that go around, they sell you a $20,000 coaching program. I do the same thing for free. It really makes me mad that people are spending their money, $20,000, $30,000 on coaching, and they could have bought their first property with that money. So that's kind of my pet peeve. I don't charge for any of this. When you come out, if you decide to fly out, about a third of the people that I have don't come out. Way's never been to Texas yet. But we want you to come out because get more attached to what you're doing and take you on the tour. But during the tour, I am giving you 35 years of real estate investment experience. So you get that's your coaching. Then I put together your support circle. Property manager being key. We have attorneys do the 1031 tax deferred exchanges or do the reverse exchange or whatever you need. Lenders, big deal. We have Richard Bonnies, is from Wells Fargo. He's an amazing lender. We have local lenders that do a lot. Other real estate agents, they come to me with their properties now. They'll say, Ken, do you buy houses in this area? I go, sure. You can even keep the whole commission because I'll take it. And then, so now they're like, oh, what about this one? What about this one? Let's see, real estate, other investors. You want to go with like-minded. This is great. When we have tours or we have multiple people in the car, it's synergy. It's amazing because they're all there for the same purpose, but they have different goals and objectives on what their end games. Accountants got a CPA on call. You're never going to have to worry about a contractor because the property manager handles all the rest of this. So this is your support. Inner circle, support circle, and service area. This is what we put together. We have every one of these positions filled. Okay, so my roles, we're finishing up here as a mentor and coach investors. I buy in the same areas for the same reasons as you do. Provide the research, market data, tours, perform those, coordinate the acquisition, we target the properties, and that's the challenge. The challenge is finding good properties because what happens is if I have somebody who wants to buy in the Way's area, I have to call and see if it's even available anymore, or if they cut off investors in that area. I'm constantly calling the builders saying, what do you have available? It takes a lot of time. But we handle contract to close, your title, help you with coordinate title. We'll help you with the mortgage, getting that taken care of. I used to own a mortgage company for many years, so I know backwards and forwards the mortgage industry. So they can't pull the wool over my eyes on rates or what have you. Exchanges, inspections, and we handle your walkthroughs. You don't have to come out, but if you'd love to, somewhere along the line you can come out if you'd like to. I love when you come out. Coordinate with expert property management. We also provide leasing services in conjunction with the property manager. Why? Because what's the number one concern? Having a vacancy for too long. So property managers don't have the budget for what they get to put a lot of money into direct marketing. So I augment that. When one of the properties sat vacant for more than 45 days, I put out a 2,200 piece direct mail a flyer. Cost me about $1,500, and I sent that to the neighboring apartments, and we got that property leased. Why? Why would I do that? Because if it leases really quick and people are happy, they'll come back and buy more. If it sits vacant, my business plan goes down the tubes because they're like, this wasn't really what I expected. So expert guidance during your ownership, and then some disposition of the future. Okay, so this is Tom Apke, actually from Southern California. This is in Carlson Place, which is one of the subdivisions that we sell. There's one more opportunity before they cut us off. Base price right now is $217,000. I'll cover that in the presentation. Right now, this was a couple months ago. This is his son. He's already bought several properties from me over the years. He's an attorney. He actually spoke for Marshall Reddick at one time, believe it or not. And he brought his son out. He bought his first house. Now he wants to buy his first investment property. So they made a fun trip of it. Came out. They just happened to be at the time when they could do the decorating while we were there. This is normally what I do. Us and the team, we handle waves. We took pictures and sent it to her and said which one do you like. And this is Andre, the on-site sales agent. And then here's Tom and his son, who's going to inherit all this. He's kind of got glazed eyes and going, wow, I'm going to inherit all this. This is great. Smile. Big smile, son. I would tell you a story, but my son didn't co-sign with me on a property, and I sold it, I flipped it for $12,000. I said, if you co-signed it, you would have made $6K. He said, let's do the next one. And we did. There they are out there. Oops. Let's see. Oh, okay. So we have a lot of fun. This is our tour from last 2 weekends ago. And many of Seawing's network partners came out. And this is Whole Foods in Monroe, Maine. HomeAway, or now called Vrbo, VRBO. HomeAway owns that whole, they're leasing that whole entire building. Amazon, behind that's Facebook, and in the distance is Indeed. They're taking the entire buildings. This thousands of high-tech, high-paying jobs. Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, so we always like to pick up at Whole Foods because it's the cool place to go, right? So this is Larissa. She's she's selling her duplex, 900 square feet aside in Hollywood, 900 square foot aside for $1.2 million, and she can do what Mr. Bill did. He'll turn it into 8 or 9 houses. Her bottom line was, she said, her property manager took pictures of the Hollywood property and there was a tent in front of it. And that was it. She's like, that's it. I'm out. But she waited long enough. She met me 10 years ago. It was only worth 700. Now it's worth 1.2. Good timing. So that was our buzz. This is us going. Actually, this is the F1 racetrack back here. You can hear that from. This is an economic opportunity zone property. That's Lennar, and they haven't started. These are paired homes. It's going to be duplexes in an economic opportunity zone. Does everybody know what an economic opportunity zone is? Richard will cover it. And we had a lot of fun. He's a multiple local investor. There's Larissa, and then Alina's in there. So having a lot of fun. We went out and had barbecue after this. It's great. So this is walking around, looking at properties. This is the on-site agent out at Pace Center. This is another one of our target properties. It's called Maynard Commons. Just opened up and haven't even built the model yet. This is where you want to be. First phase, first homes. And this is was our team, and this is a property manager, Minerva. This is Larissa. There's Yvonne, Alina, and Eileen. So that's the house that Eileen purchased. Hope I'm not saying stuff that's personal. Anyways, that's us. We actually came across these duplexes. There were no signs or nothing. We were. I always follow bulldozers. Because I want to find out where that's my next paychecks are over there where the bulldozers are. Also, we want to name first phase. There's the barbecue, world famous barbecue. It was called the Chef's Barbecue. We always made a stop in there. You could just smell it. It's so good. That's brisket. I didn't even know what brisket was when I moved to Texas. Okay, that's my presentation, y'all. I'm from California, so the y'all from this is. Let me kind of see here quickly. Okay, yeah. I'm going to leave this up after I get done for a little bit so you can get my contact information. This is where I was actually, I just threw this in here to last night because I wanted to show you a point. This is Lennar, met with their vice president. Actually, this is what I'm talking about. This This was fiscal year-end closeout, right? So around the 45 to 30 days before the closeout of the year, this is fiscal year, look what they've done. 290 was the price, 257. 283, 249. This is what I'm talking about, where these deep discounts. Right now, they don't need the numbers, so they're not discounting. But when fiscal quarter comes up in January, February, they're gonna give me a list of these properties and say, this is what we're gonna discount them to. 294 sold for 268. I mean, we're talking 20, 30,000, 40,000 below retail. It's wholesale pricing.
Wow, amazing.
Right. That's it.
Doesn't that affect the prices of the other homeowners around that same area?
They don't
that are
care.
just-
They gotta make their numbers. It's all corporate. They don't care. They don't. One sale is not gonna affect the comps, so.
Are these the ones in Waco or?
No, this is actually a great area in about 20 minutes from the Apple campus. And this is actually a target subdivision because to get in the 250s in that corridor, in the high-tech corridor, and Lennar is great because they're everything included. I mean, everything, backyard, everything, you don't have to do anything additional. So, except maybe add a refrigerator.
Ken, a lot of my investors here, they have IRAs. So you and I talked about it before, I know what you're gonna say. I don't care, because, you know why? Because you could technically, theoretically, and I know everything about IRAs, in which will validate what I'm saying, you could put 50% down payment on your self-directed IRA and do a 50% non-recourse loan leverage by the IRA to buy these properties.
New
Okay.
construction has lowered
It's
down
lower.
payment.
Lower
I
down
did
payment?
ask Jason.
What is it?
Right?
A single family home could go as low as 30, the 2-unit, 35.
Right, okay, 35 for 2 unit, yeah, 30%. No, I like self-directed IRAs, especially if you're using it all to pay cash, because that's really easy. I had my experience with North American Mortgage a couple of years ago
Yeah.
with some of Seawing's clients.
But I have another lender.
It's gotten better, I guess, is what he's saying.
So, the thing about the price, right, if it's 200K, if you have a $100,000 IRA, you can buy a lot of these. 50% down, self-directed and 50% down, non-recourse loan leveraged by the IRA, using the name of the IRA to purchase, all right? So, if you
There's
want
one
information, consult with Richard Smith
The other
and consult with me.
The other thing is here, economic opportunity zone. This whole area is going to be paired homes, duplexes basically, and they're going to be, this is 12 miles from downtown. F1 racetrack is here. F1 is big deal. I mean, we were listening to the races. In fact, I got some pictures of, and Richard would like it. I took another client out. The races were going on. It was open day, so we could actually drive right onto the field or around the track and take pictures and videos. But we're also thinking about doing short-term rentals in here. But bottom line is the whole area is investor friendly. Lennar is investor friendly, whereas DR Horton is cutting off that.
So this opportunity zone area is like 12 miles east of downtown Austin.
Off the toll road, and I can throw a rock to the airport, you can throw a rock, and I've got actually a map so you can see it, you can throw a rock to the F1 track.
This is a gold mine. This is amazing.
Lennar is going to be building 1,000 homes. This is the first 42 duplex style paired properties, and then they've got a whole subdivision behind it in the economic opportunities. And I'll let Richard address. It's new construction, that's the big deal. So that's the whole bottom line is we'll talk all about that, about how to avoid capital gains, right?
Will there be single-family homes also besides the duplexes?
Yeah, I mean, we sell all kinds, like I showed you on the presentation. That's my bread and butter is single-family homes.
Okay.
But these are paired homes because they're trying to get more affordable. So it'd be low 200s for one side.
Okay.
And Pacesetter homes in Georgetown, it'd be sub 200 price point, but it's not an economic opportunity zone. So the thing about it is that they don't even have pricing yet. That's where you want to be. As soon as they get pricing, they'll call me, they'll give me a list, and then it goes out to those that are on my database, and I'll let Seawing also know. And then you can come out and get a wholesale property. Or when this opens up, long story short, they're going to total their property down so it's even cheaper. But they're not going to take things out of out of the property, they're gonna take the elevations and make them cheaper so that they can get that price down. Because the numbers don't work with what they were showing me on Tuesday. But it will. Over the long haul, 10 years, if you held it for 10 years, all the appreciation, all that is, well, Richard will talk about, it's tax-free, right? No capital gain? All
Yeah,
right,
we talk about it.
So come on out and take the tour. I'll be doing a virtual tour, kind of going to all these areas at 2 o'clock today. Probably be about another hour of looking specifically at Austin from the 10,000 foot view right down into subdivisions. All right? Thank you very much. Ken Renner, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So, the virtual tour?
What is
We don't have to
it?
go to Austin?
So what happens, that's why I come out here, is because I have people like you, but they're like, I was here the last 4 days, really just meeting people that I had from the last presentations that were really interested in getting together and having a one-on-one. And what I do is I sit in this computer room back here, and we get on the Google Maps, Google Earth, we get the MLS open, we look at comps, we dive in, look at the builders' sites, and do it all virtually. But you'll get a very good visual about what you're doing. So,
Okay.
yeah, good question. Anything else? Anybody else have a
Can you go
question?
back to your,
Oh, yeah,
the last
sorry.
one with all your info?
Okay, so
Take a picture.
what I have, oh, you know what, you guys?
Send it to them.
I brought packages for everybody, and they're sitting in the lobby. I gotta go get them. Here's the thing, where's that? I have an investor questionnaire at the back of my package, and I'll get everybody while Richard's talking. It's a questionnaire that asks you 7 questions, 7 simple questions. I need to know where you're at. Are you a first-time investor? How much capital are you thinking on this first one? This is really important. This podcast, Real Estate 360, is my latest media outlet. I'm going to send you, anybody that sends me their information, I'm going to send you all this information, links, and then what happens when I have a new subdivision is or whatever it is, whatever new property, I'll send you a property link to it, and you can take a look at it, ask questions. That's my cell number. You're welcome to call it. Texting works great. I'm looking for appointments. The rest of this weekend is already back-to-back appointments. I'm leaving tomorrow at 5. But let's set up a telephone conference or Skype, and I'll be glad over the week to talk with you. I'm not going anywhere for the duration, so we have people coming out. And December is a great time. January is a great time to come out. It's a little cooler, and it's not as busy for the real estate side of things. So that's the whole idea. You don't have to come out. Like I said, about 30% don't, but the other 70% like to put their eyes on what they're doing, what they're buying, and I think it's really good. It's been great. Been doing it for 25 years, and that's what got me there. It was the same thing, going out and checking it out. So appreciate you coming. And Nola sent you. This is Nola's sister. Nola's got a house under contract in the same subdivision where Tom Apke and his son bought. So I appreciate you coming out. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much. I'll be around. Richard.
When's the next time you'll be here, a live event again, here?
Well,
Estimate.
the earliest would be January, but if I have that list, we're only gonna have 45 days. So I'm gonna have that list from Lennar. I'd like to get it in front and actually go down. These are the ones that we've cherry picked. I love cherry picking, right? Here's 20 properties, I'm gonna take the 5 best. That's what we're gonna do. Maybe sooner with the duplexes, because the developer said, Ken, you've got 1 shot. So in other words, I've gotta sell 23 duplexes, and I'm buying one myself, but the bottom line is that you've got 1 shot. Now, I'm talking to apartment syndicators that are looking at this as well, taking the whole subdivision. So if you're interested in those duplexes, I'll talk about it too.
Who is not on my email database list? Oh, just a couple of you, right? The rest of you,
Good.
Perfect. I need to match the face with the name and stuff. Some of you still do not know. I think I know who you are.
So I'm working out with C-Wing that instead of sending out, here's a new educational piece about Austin, here's a new educational piece about taxes, I want C-Wing to send, here's the property I just tied up on an assignment and send it out, because that means I've got control of it and I can assign it. Or here's the new list from Lenore, send it out to you guys and get the opportunities.
So much great information, Kevin. I wish you had more time, but anyway, listen, you guys want to take 5-minute break, restroom break, coffee break, piece of coffee right out, right next door. 5-minute break, all right? Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do these packets for everybody, so put your starter, I'll put them on your chair.
Yeah.
Be right back.
Hey, how's it going?
No, 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 no.